Welcome to Home Learning, Grade 7 Science Revision. Ms. Dube will take you through the revision. We are just going to revise paper 2 again with 2 sections where you have to answer them in one-word answers, some in full sentences, and some in essay questions. Let us start with the first question. The first question here reads thus: study the diagram below and answer the questions that follows. We see on the diagram here, we have somebody making an experiment here with some equipment here, where we are told that this equipment here is a what? A magnet inside the test tube. We have a test tube here. This is our test tube. And then inside the test tube, there is a magnet. And then we have substance, what? X. Now let us look at the experiment, or let us answer the questions then on the experiment. Now, A, Roman figure 1. Label X on the diagram. Oh, we have X here. What is substance S? Because we can see that there's so many, it looks like what? Soil, but it is not what? Soil. Substance X here are what? Are the ion filings. They say we have to label it ion filings. These are ion filings. These are ion filings. Why do we say the ion filings? They are ion filings because there is a magnet inside there. Okay, we go to Roman figure 2. Explain why substance X, which are the ion filings, is mostly attracted to the ends of the magnet. To the ends of the magnet. They are attracted to the ends of the magnet because one feature of a magnet is that magnets are stronger at the what? The poles, or at the ends. So explain why. We can say it's because magnets are stronger at the poles. Poles are still the same as stronger at the poles, which are the South Pole and the North Pole. Remember, magnets have got 2 ends or 2 poles, which are the South Pole and the North Pole. It doesn't matter what type of a magnet it is. We have 3 types of magnets, remember? We have the horseshoe magnet, the cylindrical magnet, and the bar magnet. All these magnets here have got one feature, which is there are 2 poles. They have 2 poles, which are the North Pole and the South Pole. And these poles are strong, these magnets, they are stronger at the poles. So that is why then when we look at our picture here, the ion filings are being attracted at the ends of the magnet. And what type of a magnet is inside the test tube? From the look of things, the magnet that is inside the test tube there is a bar magnet. So the bar magnet must be stronger at the ends, which is the North Pole and the South Pole. All magnets, in fact, are stronger at the North Pole and the South Pole. We go to the next question. Describe what would you observe in substance X, which are the ion filings, is replaced with safety pins. What then if we do not have the ion filings, but we have the what? The safety pins. What would happen? The same thing will happen. The same thing will happen as the ion filings has what has happened to the ion filings. So what is the answer? Describe you would observe if substance S is replaced with safety pins. The answer would be, or the answer will be, the pins will be attracted. The pins will be attracted. Again, the pins are going to be attracted on the ends of the magnet, are going to be attracted because a magnet is stronger at the ends. Why are safety pins going to be attracted? Because safety pins are attracted by a magnet, just like the ion filings. Let's come to this question now. The diagram below shows how some living things depend on each other. It is true that living things depend on each other, which is a food web. Our picture here shows a glass. Inside the glass, there's some water. Inside the glass, there's some fish. Inside the water, there are some plants. Why do I say there's water inside the glass? It's because I see these bubbles here. It means these fish here are breathing inside the water. That is why I say this glass here is filled with water. And two, that is why I say this glass is filled with water, because fish cannot live without water. Fish are water habitat. So these are the fish and these are the plants. Maybe they are the water lily. I don't know. But these are plants inside the glass. Where there is what? There is water. Okay. Now let's answer the questions. Name, which is A. Name two living things shown in the diagram above. The diagram above here is showing us some living things. There are two living things here that are shown in this diagram. And then which are those living things? These living things here are the what? The fish. Remember, there are no fishes. Even if there are so many fish, it's just fish. There are fish and these plants here. When we talk about living things, remember we talk about plants and animals. We don't know what type of plants are inside here, but we see by the leaves that these are what? Are plants. And plants are living things together with animals. So the two living things that are shown in the diagram here are the fish and the what? And the plants. We go to the next question, which is B. Name the structure found in one of the living things shown in the diagram, which help them to breathe. Now, we have said that the fish, they live underwater, but they are able to breathe in oxygen and out carbon dioxide. Why? This question here is asking us about the structure found in one of the living things that makes it able to breathe in and out the gases here. Okay. Now the thing that makes these animals be able to breathe in is that fish, they breathe in with the means of gills. They have gills. That is why they are able to breathe underwater. They are able to live underwater. They are able to breathe in and out the what? The gases, because they have what? They have gills. We go to the next question, which is C. Describe how the living things in the diagram depend on each other. It is true. The diagram above has shown us plants and animals. How do these living things depend on each other? That is why I said it reminds me of the word, the feeding web, which is the feeding relationship between plants and animals living in one area. Okay. So now, describe how the living things in the diagram depends on each other. Okay. We can say that the animals or the fish gives the what? The plants what? The carbon dioxide that they breathe out, carbon dioxide, and the plants gives the what? The fish, the plants gives the fish, the what? The oxygen that they breathe out. The oxygen they excrete. So that is why this fish here is going to live longer, because they are plants and animals. They help each other with the gases. When the other one gives off oxygen, the other one gives out carbon dioxide. So that is why they must be kept balanced. Okay, we go to the other one. Question. Explain how the eggs of the animal in the water are different from those of reptile. The animal in the water are the fish. Describe then how the eggs of the animals, which are the fish, differ from those of the reptile. 1. The eggs of the fish, they are small, very small. They are very small. In fact, they are very small. That is one difference. The second difference of the eggs is that the fish, the eggs of the fish are blackish and jelly-like. They are blackish and jelly-like. Whereas jelly-like. Whereas the eggs of the reptiles are not black one, and they are not jelly-like. And the eggs of a reptile have hard what? Shells, compared to the eggs of the what? The fish. That is the difference. They are small, the eggs of the fish, they are very small, in fact, tiny eggs. And compared to the reptiles, for an example, the egg of a crocodile, they are very small. And they are jelly-like, blackish in color, and they are jelly-like. So it makes it different. They are not the same. Okay, we go to the next question. The next question here is about a germinating seed. The diagram below shows a germinating bean seed. Yes, it is a germinating seed. We have the plumule, we have the radicle here. Okay. The question are as follows. A, Roman figure 1. State the name and function of the part labeled A in the diagram. First, we have to state the what? The name of the function of the part labeled A, and then we have to state the what? The function of the part labeled A. What then is the name of the part labeled A? The part that is labeled A is the cotyledon. It is the cotyledon. Why do I say it is the cotyledon? It is the cotyledon because this is the plumule, this is the plumule, and this is the radicle. Because they shoot into roots, the radicle shoots into roots, and the plumule shoots into what? To leaves. That is why then I say this is the what? The cotyledon. The function then of the cotyledon. The cotyledon, it does what? It stores food for the what? The embryo, because this is an embryo. It stores food for the embryo. Where we say the embryo is a what? A baby plant. This is just a baby plant. It is a baby plant because it has germinated into a what? A plant. So this cotyledon here was providing the what? The plumule and the radicle to shoot to be a new what? Plant. So that is why we say the function of the cotyledon is what? Is that it stores the food, and so that it can provide the food for the growing what? Embryo. The second question. State 2 conditions necessary for the bean seed to germinate. Some of the conditions then, they said we have to state 2 conditions here, which are necessary for the bean seed to germinate. They are warmth and moisture. In fact, you choose warmth and moisture. We do have what? Sunlight. We do have sunlight. We do have air. So you choose among the two because they say state 2 conditions that are necessary for the seed to germinate. We go to the next question. The next question here is about Togo and Zanele. Okay, let's read. What about Togo and Zanele? Togo argues that a mushroom is a plant. Her friend Zanele does not agree with her. I also agree with Zanele that a mushroom is not a plant. Although it looks like a plant, but a mushroom is not a plant. Okay, let us answer the questions about the mushroom. A. List 2 features that a mushroom has which makes it different from a plant. Of course, it is not a plant. A mushroom is not a plant, but it is a what? It is a fungi. It is not a plant. So Zanele is correct. Okay. The features then that makes a mushroom not to be a plant, what is it? The first feature is that a mushroom does not make its own food. Its own food. That makes it a fungi. That is why it is classified under what? A fungi. Because it cannot make its own what? Food. Plants make their own food through the process called photosynthesis. But a mushroom does not. The second feature that makes a mushroom not to be a plant is that a mushroom feeds. It feeds on dead animals and plants. It feeds on dead animals and plants. So that is why a mushroom is not a what? A plant. It is a what? A fungi. We go to the next question, which is Roman figure 2. Name the group of living things to which mushrooms belong. I've just mentioned that one. I've already mentioned the group of that living thing is that a mushroom is a what? A fungi. A mushroom is a fungi. It is not a what? A plant. So the mushroom is a fungi. So in this case, Zanele is correct that a mushroom is not a plant, but it is a what? A fungi. Because one, it cannot make its own food. It does not make its own food as plants do, because plants do make their own food through the process called photosynthesis. Secondly, a fungi or a mushroom feeds on life or dead animals and plants. That makes it to be a what? A fungi, not a plant. We go to the next question. The diagram shows a flower. Now, this is question C. There is Roman figure 1 here. I know there was supposed to be Roman figure 1 here. Using the letter B, label one female part of the flower on the diagram. A flower, remember, has 2 parts. The female part of a flower and the male part of a flower, named the stamen and the pistil. In this case, we are supposed to name the female part of a flower, which is the pistil. But then the question asks us to do what? To use letter B and label just one female part of the flower. As we can remember, the female part of a flower has got 4 parts, which are the stigma, the style, the ovary, and the ovules. So you can choose among the 4. Which one do you want to label? In this case, this is the female part of a flower. So you can choose which part do you want to label. Is either you want to label this one, which is the stigma. But then the question didn't ask you to label it in words. It just asks you to label, to just write letter B. You can use this one just to write B, letter B, or you can choose the style and write it B, where we have the style, because they all make the what? The female part of the what? A flower. Or you name this one B as our what? Ovary, where inside the ovary there are what? There are ovules. So you choose which one do you want to label B. Which one do you want to label B? Because all these parts here makes the female part, which is the what? The pistil. We go to the next question. Using letter C, indicate on the diagram again, the part of the flower that attracts, supposed to be attractive, attracts the insect. A flower has to attract insect for pollination. So in this flower here, we have to label the part that attracts insect and label it letter C. The part that attracts insect in a flower is the what? Is the petal. It is the petal. The petal. But then the question didn't ask you to label it in what? In words. It has just asked you to just write letter C on the part that attracts the what? The insects. We go to the last question on the flower. State the importance of a flower to a plant. Why are flowers important to a plant? Flowers are very, very important in a plant because they are the ones that shows that this type of a plant will produce some fruit. Without flowers, there will be no production of the what? A flower. Of a plant. So a plant has to make some flowers or has to produce some flowers, so to show that there are going to be some fruits then that are going to follow after the what? The flower. Because when we mention the function of the ovary here, the ovary here grows to be the what? The fruit, and the ovules grows to be the what? The seed. So let's come to the question. State the importance of a flower to a plant. It is important because it does what? It makes what? Fruits. It makes fruits. So, because there is a flower, there must be what? Pollination. After pollination, there must be fertilization. After fertilization, an embryo is formed, seeds are formed, then we have some fruits from a what? From a flower. Because of the agents of pollination, which are the what? The insect and wind. So that is why flowers are important in a what? In a plant. Let's take a short break then. After the break, we are going to continue with our revision. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We will be back soon.
I get set. That's it.
Welcome back. We are still on home learning, grade 7 science revision. We are still revising paper 2. Now let us continue with our revision. We have our question 3 here. It's about Jack and Mabel's. Let us read. Jack wanted to find the volume of 1 Mabel. He put 5 Mabels in container D. The volume of water in container D was 20 milliliters. The volume of water in container D then rose as shown in the diagram when there were 5 Mabels. Okay, here is our containers. We have our container D. We have our container D. We have our 5 Mabels inside the container. The first level of water in container D was 20 milliliters as shown here. It was 20 milliliters as shown here. And then 5 Mabels were put in the same container, and then the water rose into the next level here. There are 5 Mabels here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were put inside the container D, and the water rose into the second level, which is, when we look at the reading here, we can tell that this reading here is 45 milliliters. 45 milliliters. Although you must be careful then when looking at the measurements here. Now, let us read then the questions about the marbles. A, which is Roman figure 1. What is the name of container D? What is this, the name of this container D here? This container D, it is called a measuring cylinder. It is called a measuring cylinder. Why is it called a measuring cylinder? It is graduated here, that is why it is called a measuring what? Cylinder. Okay. We go to the next question, which is calculate the volume of 1 Mabel. Let's go a little bit back. When we look at the marble here, the marbles here have got a certain shape which is irregular shape. While we were still learning in class, we mentioned that even irregular substances or irregular objects do have what? Volume, as the marbles here. So now the question asks us to find the volume of just 1 Mabel. How then are we going to find the volume of 1 Mabel here? We are just going to subtract the first level from the second level. Okay, we are finding the volume of 1 Mabel here. But there are 5 Mabels inside the measuring cylinder. And yet the question asks us to find the volume of 1 Mabel. So what are we going to do first here? We are just going to find the difference between the first and the second what? Level. Then we have the first level, which is 45 milliliters. And then we have the second level, which was 20. In fact, it was the first level. We find the difference. We want to find the marble. The difference is going to give us the volume of the 5 Mabels before we find the what? The volume of 1 Mabel. So let us subtract. 5 minus a 0, we get a 5. 4 minus a 2, we get 25 milliliters. But then this milliliter cube, in fact, because this is a volume, milliliter cube. This milliliter here is the volume of the 5 what? Mabels. We have to find the volume of 1 Mabel. Then it means we have to divide 25 milliliters, divide milliliter cube, divided by how many Mables? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mables to get the volume of 1 Mable. 5 into a 5 goes 1 time. 5 into a 25 goes how many times? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. It goes 5 times. So what does this mean? It means then that the volume of 1 Mable here, in fact, we're supposed to calculate here, show the working here. Then the answer will be 5 milliliter cube. That is the volume of 1 Mable. It is wise then to show all your working so that you get all the marks here that are allocated here. You have to show all your, that is why you are given this space here. You have to show your working on the spaces provided. Okay, let's go to the next question. The next question here, it's about Musa. Let us read the question. It's question B. One night, Musa woke up from his sleep and went outside. I wonder what was he going to do outside. He saw that there was no moon in the sky. Yes, it does happen. A, question A, name the face of the moon which was there on that night. There are phases of the moon, remember? The moon keeps on changing its shape from one shape to another, where we have the full moon, the new moon, the crescent moon, the eclipse moon, the half moon, and the full moon again, the new moon again, I'm sorry. Okay, so then this time, Musa woke up at night. He saw no moon on the sky. Let us read the question. Name the face of the moon which was on that night. We have one face that is never seen, and that face is what is a new moon. That face is a new. That is why when we draw a new moon, we draw it and shade it, because it is never seen. But a full moon, you simply draw a circle and you do not shade it because it is seen, and it is seen at night. But in this case, Musa didn't see any moon, so it means it was a new moon. The phase was the new moon. We go to the second question. In the space below, draw a crescent moon. Crescent moons, there are two types. We have the growing crescent moon, we have the decreasing crescent moon. You can draw it in two different ways. You can simply draw a crescent moon as this. This is the crescent moon. Or you can draw a crescent moon from a circle, either this side, either this side, and shade this side to show that this one is growing, or you can draw a crescent moon the other way around to show that this one is decreasing, and shade the other side. These are the ways in which you can draw a crescent moon. So it means you can choose the easiest way of drawing a crescent moon. But all these pictures here, or all these diagrams here, shows the crescent moon. This is so simple because you need not to shade. This one is either you shade on the other side to show that it is growing, or you shade on the other side to show that it is. Remember, we said that the shaded part is never seen. So all these pictures here, or all these drawings here, show the crescent moon. We go to the next question. The next question here, it is still up on the moon. Let us read the question, which is question C. The moon moves around the earth. Yes, it moves around the earth, causing a month. And while it is still moving around the earth, it changes its shape. That is why we have the phases of the moon. And the moon, it was supposed to be there thee. And the earth moves around the sun. Yes, the earth moves around the sun, and the movement of the earth around the sun is called the revolution, where it causes 365 and a quarter days, where it causes a year, 4 seasons of the year, 12 months of the year. As they move, they change positions, resulting in the eclipse. We have 2 types of eclipses. We have the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. The diagram below shows one type of an eclipse. I wonder what type of an eclipse is this, but then it is so simple because the other eclipse is seen during the day. Now, let us look at the drawing here. We have the sun as our biggest body in the solar system. We have the sun as our body that is in the center of the solar system. We have our sun here as the source of light and heat energy. We have the moon, we have the earth. The moon is smaller than the earth, and the earth is smaller than the what? The sun. But the earth is bigger than the moon. While the moon is still moving around the what? The earth, it then comes between the sun and the earth to cause a what? An eclipse. Now, when then the moon is just between the sun and the earth, it cuts its shadow to the earth, and the people on the earth will not see the what? The sun. And this type of eclipse happens during the day. Now let us read the questions. Name the eclipse shown by the diagram. It was supposed to be diagram here. Name the eclipse shown by the diagram. The eclipse that is shown by this diagram here is the solar eclipse. Why do we say it is the solar eclipse? We say it is the solar eclipse because the people on the earth are not going or will not see the sun because the sun's rays are being what? Are being blocked by the moon. Or the moon cuts its shadow, as it is mentioned here, that the moon's shadow is cast to the what? To the earth. So the people on the earth are affected here. Okay. The next question. Explain what happens during this eclipse. By just looking at the diagram, it is so simple. That is why I say in paper 2, some of the questions we have to answer them in essay type of, there are some essay types questions, one-word answer questions, full sentence questions. So this type here you have to explain. You have to explain what happens during this eclipse. I've just mentioned that. In this eclipse here, the moon comes between the what? The earth and the sun. The moon comes between the earth and the sun. Therefore, what happens? And then the people on the earth or the people on earth will not see the what? The sun for some time. You can explain as much as you can, depending on how you can express yourself. But then you express yourself according to the what? To the diagram. In this diagram here, the people on earth do not see or will not see the sun because the sun rays are being blocked by the what? By the moon. And it is going to be dark on the earth for some time, maybe some minutes. And this type of an eclipse, as I have mentioned earlier on, it happens during the day. And the people on Earth are being affected one way or the other. And when this eclipse happens, we are warned not to look at the sun with our naked eyes during this eclipse. Whereas the lunar eclipse, it is when the Earth is between the moon and the sun. The Earth casts its shadow on the moon and nobody there is affected. And that eclipse there is a what? Is a lunar eclipse. So you can express yourself depending on how better you express yourself. But by simple just looking at the diagram here. We go to the next question. The next question here is about grade 7 pupils doing a certain experiment. A group of grade 7 pupils connected the apparatus as shown below in order to produce the light in the bulbs. Here is their connection. They have their what? If you can label them, the cells, the what? The bulb, and the switch, and the connecting wire, and the connecting wire. These pupils here, they know how to connect a circuit. Okay, let us read the questions. A, state the name given to the connection shown in the diagram above. What do we call the connection that is shown above? The connection above is called an electric circuit. It is called an electric circuit. It is called an electric circuit. That is the diagram above. It is the connection of a wire, the cell, and the bulb together with the switch. The next question, which is question Roman figure 2. Describe what would happen to the bulb if another cell was added. On our diagram here, on our circuit here, we see here the grade 7 pupils here connected only 3 cells. And now, what would happen if to the bulb if another cell was added here? Meaning 4 cells now were connected. What will happen to the bulb? The bulb is going to be brighter. The bulb will be brighter. If you keep on adding the cells, the bulb will be more brighter and brighter and brighter. So when these grade 7 pupils are adding the 4th cell, and the bulb is going to be brighter. The next question. State what would happen if the switch was opened. Now, when we connect a circuit, we get 2 types of circuit. We have a closed circuit and a short circuit. This here is an example of a closed circuit. Why is it a closed circuit? It is a closed circuit because the connection here is correct. The bulb lights. Then this type of a circuit here is called a closed circuit. But then the opposite of the closed circuit is not an open circuit. It is a short circuit. Then that circuit, it is when the connection does not give light to the bulb. Then that circuit is what? Is a short circuit. Now let's read the question. State what would happen if the switch was opened. So now these pupils here decided to open the switch. Because here we are shown the bulb lightning here, it means the switch is closed. But then these pupils decided to do what? To open the switch. What will happen? The bulb will not light. The bulb will not light. Why? because the switch now has a gap, because the circuit now has a what? A gap, the switch is opened. And if the switch is opened, the bulb is not going to give any what? Any light. Let's go to another question. Another group of pupils then in the class, it means the pupils were in groups. Another group of pupils in the class did not have the connecting wire. So that is why I said they've connected a wire, some cells, a switch, and a what? A bulb. But this group here doesn't have a what? A connecting wire. Let's see what did they use. So they used a cotton string to connect the batteries. They didn't have the what? The connecting wire. Let's go back a bit. Why then does that bulb give light on the first group? Because the electricity or the connecting wire allows the electricity to flow through the wires. That is why the bulb lights. But in this group here didn't have what? The connecting wires. They used the what? The cotton string. I wonder what is a cotton string. But then they used the cotton string. They were connecting. They were doing the same experiment. Explain what the people will observe. It is obvious then that these people will observe something different from the first group. What are they going to observe? The bulb will not light. Why will the bulb not light? Because a cotton string is not a good conductor of electricity. Because a cotton string does not allow electricity to flow through it. So that is why the bulbs are not going to give any what? The light, compared to the first connection where they used the right wire, which is the connecting wire. So this group here will observe something differently for sure. So the bulb will not light. That is what the group is going to observe in their connection, because they have used the poor conductor of electricity, something that does not allow electricity to flow through it. Even if they can close the switch, even if they can make the connection closed, but the bulb is not going to light because the cotton string is not the good conductor of electricity. Now, let's come to the last question. Let us read the question then. The diagram below shows apparatus chain used to boil a clear liquid. The liquid boiled at 98 degrees Celsius. So here we have a boiling point, which is 98 degrees Celsius. The boiling point of water in Swaziland is 98 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. So here is Jane's apparatus. She had a beaker here. She had an apparatus here, a thermometer here, and a liquid here, and a Bunsen burner with flame. It means that Jane is heating the what? The water. Okay. Now, let us read the questions. Name the liquid that might be in the container. I've mentioned the liquid. The liquid here might be water. The liquid here might be water. Why do we say it might be water? Because of the boiling point, which is 98 degrees Celsius. Okay, the next question. Name the instrument Jane used to measure the boiling point of the clear liquid. We are told that Jane was boiling a liquid and the liquid started to boil at 98 degrees Celsius. It means that Jane was measuring the hotness of the water there. Okay, name the instrument that Jane used to measure the boiling point of the clear liquid. The instrument that Jane is using here is the thermometer. It is the thermometer. Although we have two types of thermometers. We have the clinical thermometer and the ordinary thermometer. To be precise, you can even say that this type of a thermometer that Jane was using here was an ordinary thermometer. Why do we say it was an ordinary thermometer? We say that it was an ordinary thermometer because an ordinary thermometer is used to measure any hotness or coldness of substances. It is not the same as the clinical thermometer, which is used to measure the temperature of human beings. And the clinical thermometer is used in clinics and hospitals. It is not used anywhere. So in this case, Jane here was using an ordinary thermometer. So that is why I say, if you want to be precisely, you can even name it as an ordinary thermometer because there are two types of thermometers. Okay, let's go to the next question. Explain what would happen if Jane continues to heat the liquid for a longer time. We have seen the apparatus above. Jane was heating the water with a Bunsen burner, although the heat is gently there. But then if she continues to boil the water, what is going to happen? Then, if she continues to boil the water, the water is going to evaporate up until there's just going to be no water in the beaker. So, explain what would happen if Jane continues to heat the liquid for a longer time. The water will evaporate. The water will evaporate up until there is no more water in the what? In the beaker. Okay, we go to the next question. C. Jane puts her clear liquid in the freezer at school. A. State what would happen to the liquid while in the freezer. What would happen to the liquid when Jane puts the liquid in the freezer? So something that will happen to the liquid is that the liquid will freeze. The liquid will freeze. The liquid will freeze. Because a refrigerator, remember earlier on we have mentioned that it is a device that makes some ice cubes. It changes liquid into solids. So it changes the liquid into ice cubes. So when Jane puts the clear liquid in the refrigerator, it means that the water will freeze. Then we go to the next question, which then is the last question. State the temperature of the liquid Jane is likely to record after 15 minutes. We have seen that Jane took the water and put them in the refrigerator. What then is going to happen to the liquid? The liquid is going to freeze. And the freezing of the water then gives us a certain percentage, where the freezing point of water is 0 degrees Celsius. Let's go back to the question. State the temperature of the liquid Jane is likely to record after 15 minutes. It is obvious then after 15 minutes that the temperature will drop to 0 degrees Celsius, which is the freezing point of the liquid because he has used a refrigerator. So I hope you have enjoyed the revision with me. That marks the end of our revision. Till we meet again next time, thank you. Goodbye.